Best Russian fighter of all time. It's hard to think of tough guys in the world of mixed martial arts without having a few Russians come to mind. That's because they are so good at fighting that we decided to make a video to decide who's the best Russian fighter of all time. Stick around to find out who it is. Khamzat Chimaev, the rising star. Alright, let's kick things off with Khamzat Chimaev. This guy's like a force of nature in the octagon. He burst onto the scene with a record of 10 wins and 0 losses, and get this, he finished all of his opponents in those 10 fights. That's insane, right? Plus, he's beaten some solid fighters like Gerald Meerschaert and Rhys McKee. Oh, and did I mention he set a record for the fastest consecutive wins in UFC history? Yeah, he did that in just 66 days. Talk about making an impact. Fedor Emelianenko, the legend. Now, if we're talking about Russian fighters, we can't skip over Fedor Emelianenko. This guy's a living legend in the MMA world. He's got a record that's the envy of every fighter out there, with 39 wins, 6 losses, and 1 no contest. And check this out, during his prime, he went on a 28-fight win streak. That's unheard of in MMA. To add to that, he's beaten some of the biggest names in the sport like Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, Mirko Cro Cop, and Mark Coleman. Fedor's legacy is truly something special. Petr Yan, the bantamweight beast. Next up, we've got Petr Yan, who's an absolute beast in the bantamweight division. He's racked up an impressive record of 16 wins and only 2 losses. But here's the kicker, he's won 7 of his last 8 fights, including victories over Uriah Faber and Jose Aldo. And get this, he won the UFC bantamweight title by beating Jose Aldo in a dominant fashion. This means Petr's not just climbing the ranks, he's taking over the whole division. Zabit Magomedsharipov, the featherweight phenom. Now on to Zabit Magomedsharipov. This guy's got moves for days. He's got an impressive record of 18 wins and only 1 loss. But what's even more impressive is who he's beaten. I'm talking about guys like Jeremy Stephens, Calvin Kattar, and Kyle Bochniak. And let's not forget about his UFC bonuses. The dude's racked up performance of the night and fight of the night awards like it's nobody's business. Zabit's not just a phenom, he's a force to be reckoned with. Magomed Ankalaev, the light heavyweight contender. Magomed Ankalaev is another Russian fighter who's been making waves in the light heavyweight division. He's sitting on a solid record of 16 wins and 1 loss. And get this, he's won his last 7 fights in a row, including victories over Ion Cutelaba and Nikita Krylov. Magomed's not just a contender, he's a future champion in the making. Now, I mean no disrespect when I say this. The guys we talked about so far are awesome in their own right, but not as awesome as the next set of Russian fighters I'll be talking about. Islam Makhachev, the lightweight phenomenon. Now on to Islam Makhachev. This guy's like Khabib's protege, and you can see the similarities in their fighting styles. He's got an impressive record of 22 wins and only 1 loss. But what's even more impressive is his win streak. He's won his last 9 fights in a row. And check this out, he's beaten some tough opponents like Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, and Gleison Tibau. Islam's not just a phenomenon, he's a legitimate lightweight champion in the division, and there's no doubt he'll dominate the UFC for years to come. Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Eagle. Last but certainly not least, we've got Khabib Nurmagomedov, who everyone would agree is the greatest Russian fighter of all time. This guy's story is like something out of a movie. He grew up in the mountains of Dagestan, Russia, where he started training in combat sports from a young age. His father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, was a huge influence on his life and his journey into MMA. He instilled in Khabib a strong work ethic and a dedication to his craft that would carry him through his entire career. Khabib had his first taste of MMA success in the regional circuit in Russia, where he quickly made a name for himself with his dominant wrestling and ground-and-pound style. But it wasn't until he made his UFC debut in 2012 that the world really started to take notice. His first UFC win came against Kamal Shalaris at UFC on FX1, where he showcased his trademark grappling skills to secure a submission victory in the 3rd round. From there, Khabib went on an absolute tear through the lightweight division. He rattled off win after win, dismantling every opponent that stood in his way. But it wasn't just the wins that were impressive, it was the way he dominated his opponents. He made elite fighters look like amateurs with his suffocating wrestling and relentless pressure. Now let's talk about some of the records he set along the way. Khabib holds the record for the most takedowns in a single UFC fight, with an astonishing 21 takedowns against Abel Trujillo. Yeah, you heard that right, 21 takedowns in one fight. He also holds the record for the longest active win streak in the UFC lightweight division, with an incredible 29 wins in a row. But it's not just about the records, it's about the quality of opponents he beat. Khabib faced some of the toughest fighters in the world and made them look ordinary. He beat the likes of Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, and Rafael dos Anjos, just to name a few. And let's not forget about his dominant performance against McGregor, where he submitted the Irishman in the 4th round to retain his lightweight title. That victory catapulted Khabib to superstardom and even earned him a dinner invitation from the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. I mean, how many fighters can say they've had dinner with the president after a fight? But perhaps Khabib's greatest legacy is the way he continues to inspire other Russian fighters, both in the UFC and across the globe. He's become a role model for aspiring athletes everywhere, showing them that with hard work, dedication, and perseverance, anything is possible. You can actually see his influence in the new generation of Russian fighters coming up in the sport. Guys like Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev are carrying on his legacy with their own dominant performances in the octagon. So there you have it, guys, the incredible journey of Khabib Nurmagomedov, the greatest Russian fighter of all time. From humble beginnings in Dagestan to UFC superstardom, Khabib's story is one of perseverance, dedication, and unmatched skill. And while he may have hung up his gloves for good, his legacy will live on forever. So do you agree that Khabib Nurmagomedov is the greatest Russian fighter of all time? Hit the comments below and tell us what you think. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons when you're done, because we've got more awesome MMA videos where this came from. See you next time.